This is the Kojima Productions Report with your host Ryan Payton and with
John Riccardi of 8-4. Hello again.
Here on the show, as I warned last week during my monologue that John might be joining me on the podcast to talk about translations, localizations, amongst many other things. But John's here in Japan, in Tokyo, so I thought it'd be a great idea to call him up, have a little bit of dinner at Junkadelic, my new favorite restaurant in Tokyo.
Our favorite Mexican spot.
I mean, that's a rarity in Japan, is that good Mexican.
Yes, it is. And I heard there's another Mexican place like up the street from there too that people are saying is good. So we'll have to try that one next time.
I mean, it was like my white whale for 3 years. It was a good Mexican in Japan, and he proved that it can happen. especially with a name like Junkadelic. How can you go wrong for a restaurant?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So we just got out of dinner. We're stuffed full of burritos and enchiladas, and we're just going to do this podcast. I've got a lot of stuff that I pulled out of the mailbox, but first off, I thought I'd talk about a couple other things, like talk about games, maybe outside of Metal Gear, because Metal Gear's not coming until next year, second quarter of next year. So we won't be talking about that. We've been playing that game for a little while, but we can talk about other games we've been playing. For example, Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, Super Mario Galaxy I've been playing since it came out here, which is, what is it now, a week now?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's really, really good. I don't want to praise it too much. I was actually talking to Mark McDonald earlier today. He's also a frequent guest on the show here, and I started telling him how great it was, but then I was like, wait, I don't want to pimp it up too much, because like I went into it with normal expectations, and I really love it, and I think other people should too. But
right.
But it's really good. If you had played the old Mario games back in the day, Super Mario 1, 2, and 3 on the NES, you remember how they like evolved, right? I mean,
right.
Like 1 was amazing, 2 was just this weird different game,
2
and then
was
3 was like incredible. And it struck me last week that Galaxy is basically like the Super Mario 3 of the 3D Mario games.
That's interesting, yeah.
Because Mario 64 was this amazing
great, yeah.
like game that kind of almost invented 3D gaming, what it should be. And Sunshine was kind of this like weird, it was good. I liked Sunshine a lot actually, but it was different. It was not like it was not your normal Mario game. There was some weird gimmicks, and it was kind of strange, like Mario 2 was back in the day.
Right.
But Galaxy just brings it back to what everything I expect from a Mario game. It's really, really inventive. It's beautiful. Like the graphics are amazing.
See, that's the thing I never expected coming from a Wii game.
Yeah. Well, it's cartoony, it's not realistic. If it was realistic, it wouldn't look that good. But the fact that they made it cartoony and, it's got that Mario style, it's very, very... The artists are amazing. I mean, it's really, really nice. So I've been spending most of my time with that.
Well, I actually had a chance to play it at E for All. Mm-hmm. They had it on the show floor, and it was actually kind of fun. I didn't know that they had a co-op or a two-player element in the game. And so they had little assistance by the booths, and so she would pick up coins for me or pick up whatever.
Oh, they would play with you?
Yeah,
that's cool.
And basically, like you can stun enemies.
Uh-huh.
Like the person on the second controller can stun enemies, and you can stomp on them, and they can help you out in that kind of function. So it's kind of like a good boyfriend-girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you meet? Well, I don't know. I've been in Japan so long now, but I'm assuming it's the same elsewhere too. But like I meet a lot of people who say their girlfriend doesn't like to play games, but likes to watch them play games, and like this is perfect for that.
I think Nojiri, our in-house director Shinto Nojiri, is one of those guys where his girlfriend. That's what they do. That's how they hang out.
Right.
They play games. She watches him play games,
and she likes it.
But she's very demanding, and she'll make fun of him when he dies, and when he can't pass a certain area, or she'll give him advice. But she's also very concerned with game stories, and she likes good game stories, and she despises games with bad stories. And it's interesting because going from that perspective of you're not a gamer, and so she's just there observing the story and seeing how it flows, and that's a kind of a cool perspective that she has. And she loves. She said that Siren was really engaging for her.
Oh yeah.
Ryuga Gotoku or Yakuza was pretty engaging for her. And there's other games that that it's harder for like when he tries to play BioShock or something like that. It doesn't really translate, especially because it's in English. But or like FPSs or Halo, it doesn't work for her. So it's interesting in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's an interesting way for games to go. I mean, it'd be nice if they could find some way to do that with games like Biohazard or something. Because I know a lot of people who don't want to play Biohazard but want to watch it. So the fact that you can interact with Mario is it's a very cool idea. It's very subtle. It's very small. It's not even something you could really throw in the package as like a selling point. But it is a really good idea.
Yeah, it is cool. And before we go into the Metal Gear talk, I was going to talk about some of the games I've been playing. And you have some other games you've been playing, I know, but. I've been playing the orange box, and like most people these days, it seems like after Halo 3, that's the next step, right?
Yeah, that was my next step.
Yeah, and for me too. And so going back and playing Half-Life 2 again, it's been 3 years, and it's funny because I played Half-Life 2 around the same time I played Snake Eater for the first time, and I think both games hold up. But I was surprised that Half-Life 2 didn't hold up gameplay-wise as much as I'd expected it to. It's interesting. Like the load times in the middle of
yes, that's true. You say that was the number one thing that bothered me about playing it. Was it like that on the PC as well?
It was, yeah. So you're cruising along and you're doing great and you're all pumped up and you're hyped up, and then boom, here comes a loading bar. Not even like a loading screen, it's just a loading bar, and you're like, ugh.
It would have been nice if they found, considering they had 3 years to port, and not that they were working on it the whole time, but considering they ported it to 360, it would have been nice if they found a way to mask that.
Right.
Because, we're spoiled by Halo and, BioShock and other games where the loading isn't so, in your face.
Right. Or like Metroid Prime does it in the background and things like that. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but on the other hand, I mean, it's still a classic, and that whole world that they created. It's funny because it's like, this reminds me of Children of Men. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I did see that movie. That movie was
but
great.
It's funny because when I was watching that movie, it reminded me of Half-Life 2, which actually came first, so I got to have to remind myself. It's not even worth making a Half-Life 2 movie after that,
Right.
But I've been playing that. It's still a great game. I'm jealous of people who can just jump into episode 1 and episode 2. I can't remember what the hell happened 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's not that I can't remember, it's that I actually didn't play Half-Life 2. I played a little bit of when it first came out and a little bit on the Xbox, but then that was it. I didn't actually get deep into it. I was kind of waiting for a real console, Xbox One. It was a little late,
Right.
So this is the one I was waiting for, and now that I have it, I'm the same way. I can't jump into the extra ones because I hear they're great and they're short, which is what I need. I need short games. I don't have time for long games, but I want to play the main game first.
Right.
So.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
With Mass Effect coming out. And
I know
all that good stuff.
Yeah. I basically we chatted about this earlier over dinner, but I basically am kind of putting it on the shelf till I think next spring because I want to play Mass Effect. I want to play Call of Duty, and there's other stuff too coming soon that's kind of higher on my priority list. So.
Right. Are you gonna check out Silent Hill on PSP or?
I heard you've been playing that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Coming from my perspective, coming off of Portable Ops and Portable Ops Plus,
right.
It's interesting to see what you can do with the PSP when you don't have to create such large environments, and it's pretty impressive what you can do if you do have just like smaller environments like Silent Hill does, and you can add the fog, and then all of a sudden you can ramp up that detail and the textures, and so it looks really good for PSP.
So how does it feel? Silent Hill was always to me I played Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2 and then I stopped, and no special reason, but I just stopped. And to me, that was always about kind of like Resident Evil. It's all about the kind of the mood and the kind of getting you scared and everything.
Right.
But does that work on a portable? Do you have to lock yourself away in a dark room and then play it? Or?
Well, it's interesting because at the beginning of the game, you might have heard about this, but at the beginning of the game, it tells you turn off the lights, put some headphones on. That's how you're supposed to experience this game, and it's true. I mean, if you do play it on the train with the sound off, then you're missing that point, really.
Right.
And I have to admit, I mean, you guys can call me out on this, but I was legitimately kind of freaked out when I was playing the game.
Oh, yeah.
In my hotel room, with the lights off, with the headphones on.
Oh, that's good.
And I give a big pat on the back, and literally, I have given a pat on the back to Akira Yamaoka for the soundtrack because it's chilling, and he's got a twisted talent,
Awesome.
And so in that sense, I think it's worth picking up. And I'm not saying that just because it's Konami. So by the way, Contra 4's coming out, and I heard it's pretty good. And I've played a really early build, and it was good. And I think it was the same build that the press got to play back in, when was that, July or August? All of a sudden there's all these previews when they announced Contra 4, and people were very impressed by it. And I think I played about the same build, and it feels like Contra 3, the sequel to Contra 3, which is a good thing, because isn't that what people have been asking for?
I think that's what we all wanted, yeah.
So in that sense, it's I think it's what people have been asking for, and it's gonna be fun to have on a portable unit. So, but moving on, I had a couple other talking points I had before I jump into the mailbox.
Sure.
And this kind of brings it back to Metal Gear because, as you guys know, we got some extra development time and we're working on the game nonstop. And one thing that we're working on is the difficulty in the game balance. Mm-hmm. And something that I've been taking more notice of now since that's becoming a large part of my working day. It's making sure that the game is fun but still challenging. And I was going to ask you, John, what do you when you play games? Do you play on normal difficulty? Do you play on hard or extreme when you first played? Do you play on easy like Shinto no Jiri does? Or
Well, I pretty much always start on normal. That's kind of like I feel like, I just heard somebody else say this recently, but I've always felt this way too. I feel like that's the way the game was developed. It was I assume it was usually designed with the normal difficulty in mind. That's the way the designers intended for it to be played. So that's how I play it. It's sometimes I want to play it on easy. Sometimes I don't. I'm stressed by a game, or it's hard, or I just don't really have time and I want to get through it kind of fast, and I want to play easy. But there is something about it. I don't know if it's like pride or what.
It's probably pride.
It's probably pride, and I can't do it. Like I've even like hovered over the easy thing on the title screen and then moved back. I can't do it. But
well, maybe you were challenging Corey Barlog because he's coming on the podcast. I recorded a session with him, who, by the way, just quit.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So it's gonna be
kind of nervous about that.
Yeah. Well, you can hear the pre, like while he was still in like the still Sony.
Could be the last recorded interview.
Exactly, and so I'm going to be putting that up in the next few weeks. But he actually talked about that, the difficulty, and that they designed God of War 2 around the normal difficulty. That's how they based that's like the standard, I guess you could say, or that's how they designed the game. And then they would just ramp up the difficulty for the hard and make it easier and easier. But basically, that's the way the game was meant to be played, is on normal.
Right.
And so I'm thinking about that. I want to keep it in line with how Metal Gear has always been. I think Metal Gear on normal has always been fair, but I find myself more and more these days playing games on hard from the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
Like Half-Life 2, the Orange Box, I played on hard. I played Half-Life or Halo 3 on heroic from the start. I played BioShock on hard.
Is that because you think that you're going to get more, like, the DAI is not smart enough maybe on normal, or is it like just like kind of like bragging rights kind of thing, or what's the reason that you do that?
Well, I didn't know those bragging rights until I realized that people on like Xbox Live can see what difficulty you're playing Halo 3 on, and Mark McDonald commented, he's like, "Man, you're hardcore. You're playing it on heroic." I was like, "Oh, I guess I am," but it really wasn't anything for pride, because I don't really tell anybody who I play what mode I play games on. But for me, it's part of the challenge of a game, because I find that on hard you actually really have to think. On normal, on most games, you can kind of cruise through on autopilot, especially for people like you and I who are obviously hardcore gamers.
Right.
A lot of people listening to this podcast, we've played so many games that we kind of know what to expect.
Right.
And I found myself on normal just playing, like I said, on autopilot. And so on hard, I'm forced to think about, okay, how I'm going to survive this, and I really do have to ration, my health packs or my ammo, and it actually makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time. I'm actually like learning or progressing as a gamer.
Right.
So with that said, a lot of people at E4All they pulled me aside and said, you have to make sure that you have a hard mode and even an extreme mode on MGS4, which I intended to.
Well, you always do, right?
Right?
I mean, it's
Right. So I'll make sure that it's in there, but also make sure it's fair. It's tough but fair, So.
Yeah, I mean, achievements have given I think reason to difficulty levels, because now I'm talking about the achievement points on Xbox Live, but I mean the whole concept of achievements now actually makes me want to play harder levels sometimes. Like now, especially now, I will never play easy. Like I'll at least start on normal, because most games will give you more points depending on how hard you played or whatever.
Well, it'd be cool if they would take away your gamer points if you played on easy. Some kind of negative achievements. Like, you suck. You minus 20 points.
Yeah, you lose like half your gamer score, or your reputation goes down. That would be cool.
Well, and so the question goes out to you guys, the listeners. Send in your comments about difficulty, what you expect from MGS4, because that's what I'm working on from week to week. So if you have any suggestions, or and I'm curious to hear what you guys say, what you guys do about other games too. Do you play games on hard or normal or easy, like Shinto no Jiri, which I mentioned for the third time?
Does he listen to this podcast?
Yeah, hopefully not. But I always tease him about it, because I guess he's like, he just wants to get through games. He wants to experience the games as quickly as possible and move on to the next thing, because he doesn't have a lot of time. So again, moving on to the mailbox, you've got a cheat sheet. You've got a bunch of different letters from listeners, and thanks again for everybody for writing in, and try to take the time to read every one of your comments, especially the ones that don't ask like the impossible questions. Like we won't go into that, but that's what I'm hoping to do in a future podcast. And I think I've hinted at this before, but I want to put together a list of all like the craziest questions I've gotten from listeners, and read those over the air, because that would be hilarious.
Before the game is out?
Yeah, before the game is out.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not going to answer them, of course, but
okay.
So kicking it off with Graham from the U.S., and I'm just going to read it off. He says, from what has been described of MGS4, the player is allowed to choose sides in the fight, helping the PMCs or the insurgents. From all the footage I've seen of Snake fighting in firefights, he always fights with the insurgents. I was wondering how Snake would blend in if he helped the PMCs. It seems that the PMCs are the primary enemy and are searching for Snake most of the time, so it would seem like it would never be beneficial to help the PMCs. This is a good question, and this is something that came up a lot when I visited Los Angeles for E4All. Is maybe it was a mistake on our part, because as we've been talking about MGS4 for the past 2 years, there's always this concept of there's country A, country B, and you can line up with either of them, and then use that your alliance to your advantage to sneak past on the battlefield. Well, as most people have seen with the gameplay videos, is that at least in the Middle East, we always, when we're doing a gameplay video, we always team up with the insurgents, the local militia. And during my presentations at E4All, one thing I made sure that everybody knew before they played the game is that you cannot team up with the PMCs. Those are the enemies. That's part of Liquid's army. You cannot team up with them. You cannot give them items. You cannot, have coffee with them later on. I mean, these are the bad dudes, and so it's up to you really to team up with the insurgents. You can kill them, or you can give them items and they'll fight along with you, or you can kill PMC soldiers for them and they'll notice that and fight along with you.
What's the benefit to killing insurgents?
The benefit to killing insurgents is if, let's say for example, the insurgents are just wiping the floor of the PMCs and you want to sneak past in the commotion. Well, you can thin the ranks of the insurgents and make sure that battle is getting really heated, and then you can sneak past. There's some parts in the game that require that, so it's not always to your benefit of protecting the insurgents, but from a moral standpoint, yeah, for the most part, you probably want to either protect them or just leave them alone and not kill them.
Like the Little Sisters?
Exactly. Yeah, the Little Sisters, exactly. But they're a little bit less creepy. So,
did you get any feedback from people about who had any trouble differentiating between insurgents and PMCs?
Not so much. I mean, you could pretty much tell the PMCs have got, the baseball caps and the big, the specific fatigues and the body armor, and insurgents are usually looking a little rougher.
Right.
And we do have some codex sequences in the game where we explain, where the militia are coming from. That most of them are untrained, and you can tell just by their movements that they're not following all the military advice that we get from Mr. Morty, for example.
Right. Gotcha.
Like the PMCs are following that very strict military stances and things like that. But the insurgents are more kind of free for all rebel style.
Gotcha.
It's pretty cool. Shadowstar from the U.S. He mentions. I'll just read off his email. Every time you've been in an interview lately, you've talked about how you've changed MGS. You say the story is very different, not like an anime. Actually, I said it's not like a bad anime. The controls are all different. It sounds like you're Americanizing the game. The truth is, if I wanted a shallow American game, I'd have an Xbox and Gears of War. Please assure me. Tell me that this is still a Japanese game, that it's MGS at its core. Well, after 2.5 years of trailers and now we have gameplay footage, if you still don't think it's in a Japanese game, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not really Americanizing the game. I guess I am. I'm Americanizing the controls in a way, but giving you the choice.
But that's a good thing too. You don't. I don't even think you need to defend that, because this letter is coming from the standpoint. It sounds like that American games, shallow American games, are no good. But I don't think that's fair to you.
It's not fair either. But the reason I brought it up is that there's actually a lot of people out there that, and I'm sure you come across this because this is part of your daily your daily job is to translate games for people who love Japanese games.
Right, of course.
And there's this kind of inferiority complex when it comes to the Americans when they play American games and they've grown up with Japanese games.
Right.
And they kind of feel threatened by them, I think.
I can understand that, yeah.
Which makes sense because we're living in a time where the huge big budget games outside of MGS4 and probably Final Fantasy 13 that they're not really made in Japan anymore.
Right.
And the industry is moving in an interesting direction, and American games are getting much better. I mean, obviously games from Europe as well. So, there's no reason to bash Gears of War. It's a great game, and it's one of the most important games that have come out this generation. And Shadowstar will probably eventually see the light. But as far as Americanizing the controls, it's true. I mean, we're giving you more options. You can invert the controls. You can change the camera speed on 3 different modes of cameras. You're the over-the-shoulder view, the regular camera view, and the first-person view. I give you different settings on each one of those. You can change the camera speed, you can invert the y-axis, the x-axis. That's all stuff that you wouldn't usually see in a Japanese video game.
Right, and I mean the controls, precision controls have always been an aspect of Japanese games, but I mean how the controls are actually laid out and configured is just a matter of, it's a matter of preference. And I mean, having played the demo, what you guys, I mean, for me, and I appreciate games from both sides, but I understand the Japanese love of games. I grew up loving Japanese games. I live in Japan. I know what it's like. But, I mean, the controls are way better in 4 than they were in 3 and 2. And, I mean, it's so much easier to play. And I think everybody agrees. I haven't heard anyone say they prefer the old style.
I've only heard one dude.
In the press?
It was at E4All. It was a guy
really?
came up and said, like, I want that, the bird's eye view camera. I was like, wait, so you want to stop? Like, you want to stop, like, the movement of Snake. Then you want to hit the L1 button or, like, the look button and then fire without moving. And then go back to that bird's eye view, and he's like, yes. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can help you out, because the game isn't designed for that. Previous games were.
Right.
But now
right.
we're designing the game based on a 3D camera. So I don't think I can help that guy. And another guy came up and said he wanted the shooting not to be on L1,
button,
but
right?
to be on
I heard
square.
That, yeah.
And that was really interesting for me, too. So.
Yeah, I don't think, I think if you appreciate Japanese games, there are things to look for, like art direction. Japanese, I feel, have superior art direction in a lot of ways, and I think, you find attention to detail in
yes.
in the smallest areas, which is important,
For example, in MGS, and something that it always boggles the mind when I look at this, and how much work it goes into that. The fact that you could open up the item menu, even in Snake Eater, and you can spin around every item in 3D, and it's rendered in 3D.
Right.
It's not like a 2D icon. No, they actually spent the time to make
that. Those things take time, that kind of detail, that kind of care, and that is very common, I think, at least in high-quality Japanese games, and I think that's something that is very much worth appreciating. I think American designers could learn from that. Well, not just American, but Western designers could learn from that, just like Japanese designers could learn a lot from Western games, such as, better control schemes and other ways of playing, so...
Or the more open-ended gameplay, something that we're also integrating
right.
in the game. And this is very conscientious and something that we're actually pulling, or we admit that we're pulling from Western game design, is that we're giving you multiple paths at certain parts in the game. It's not just a linear path anymore. I think that's positive,
Definitely.
As long as you don't get lost, right?
Yeah, so don't feel bad, Japanese game lovers. I think what's going on here is definitely good, and we should hope for more of it in other games too. Honestly, so
it would be good if other Japanese game companies were playing more Western games. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time. How long did it take Resident Evil to get like semi-normal controls? And they're
right.
still not perfect, but I mean, hopefully by 5 they'll have it down. But
right. Well, moving on to the next question from Ultima One. I've been really looking forward to addressing this one. Here's this question. There has been some doubt among fans regarding the recently revealed official Gecko spelling and the lizard nickname for those legged war machines. Originally, Hideo Kojima stated that their name was based on the Japanese word gecko, meaning moonlight. Now, this is true. In the Japanese game, when gecko show up, there's kanji, and there's 2 different kanjis, and it means moonlight. So, continuing.
To clarify, it's never actually explained that it means moonlight, but if you're Japanese and you can read the characters, you just understand.
Exactly.
This is a common thing in Japanese games.
Exactly. So fans are concerned that gecko, Gecko, and the lizard may represent a new inclination towards overly westernizing the game, even to the expense of meaningful symbolism and clarity over plot points in the game. I wonder if you could clarify whether or not the original Japanese gecko, Gekkou is the Japanese Romanized spelling of it, reference will remain intact despite the new spelling's increased association of the name with the increased association of the name with the English word instead. Basically, what the guy's trying to say is, in the E4All demo, they noticed that Snake refers to the gecko as lizards, which is actually correct. In the game, in the English version of the game, whenever the gecko show up, they will be spelled in a Romanized form. It would be Gekkou. I'm retaining the Japanese word. However, Snake does kind of talk down to them, or he makes fun of them, and calls them lizards. It's kind of like his nickname for them. And so, which happens in the Japanese as well, because if you played the TGS version of that same build, Otsuka-san says he refers to the gecko at some points as Yamori, and which is kind of like a dual-layered joke, right?
Right.
This is hard to explain.
In Japanese, it's easier to understand because you just have to look at the characters to see that the word is,
it means moonlight. But when you hear the word gecko being spoken, people think, for Japanese, they say, oh, that sounds like the English word for lizard, which is why he's calling it yamori, right? So you're losing a layer, but I'm still retaining the Japanese. So if you're worried that I'm overly westernizing the game, you have nothing to worry about, because actually, in fact, I'm retaining the gecko, but I'm not adding an S at the end of it, even if there's plural gecko, which you might find in an overly westernized game. And this is something you probably encounter too when you're localizing titles. Is that actually you can't say ninjas? You know, it's a Japanese word. It's ninja. No matter how many there are, like there's a group of ninja or sushi. Same for gecko. So you'll see that there's a group of gecko. There's no S at the end. So I'm retaining the Japanese intent to my best of ability. So do you think that answers, that clears things up?
I think the question is already a little confusing, so it's kind of hard to understand. But I think that the bottom line is yes, nothing strange is being done here. This is, I would agree, this is how it should be done. We come across these kind of things all the time where there's hidden layers of. In fact, to take this a step further, there's a lot of times in Japanese games there is kanji and there's a way to read it, and Japanese players, of course, can read it, and they can look at the characters and see a second meaning there because the characters individually may mean something else. And then sometimes there's even a third layer of wordplay where there's like furigana above the character, which is like an English word or something completely different. So there's like 3 different ways to look at a word. And you basically cannot carry this over into English without, some creatively changing something or explaining things elsewhere. So I mean, maintaining the name Gecko for the walkers, the war machines, whatever they are, is definitely one way to keep it true to the Japanese. So I'm not sure why people are unhappy about it.
There's a salaryman on a motorcycle. But one other thing I wanted to address in this letter from Ultima was that the spelling on there. He said that they were kind of upset about the spelling, the Gecko, as in like the lizard, like the color changing lizard. Not sure where that came from actually, because in the game we spell original, like true to the original Japanese word, so it'd be Gekkou. Maybe you saw that in some kind of article about the game that was mistaken, but. Ray from Country Unknown. Will the opening movie have any spoilers in them, like footage of characters or events that happen later in the game, similar to the MGS2 opening? Now, this is a really good question. And these are the questions I really love. And I will read off any questions like this on the podcast, because I'm not really revealing any spoilers about the game. I can talk about this at length. Yes, the new opening movie that we're working on still contains no spoilers whatsoever. You can watch it from start to finish and not be spoiled by anything in the game. In fact, it'll enhance your enjoyment of the game, is all I'm saying.
So I want to know more about that too, but I get the impression you're not going to tell me much because, you've been making trips to America here and there to be working on this, and people have been saying things. I don't remember where or what I read. I just remember thinking that, wow, this intro people have said it's something that's never been done before,
yes,
right?
This is true.
And, that, of course, that gets your mind wandering. Can you give us any kind of hint? I mean, you did say just now, I'm being picky on words now, but you called it a movie. Was that accurate, or is that not really fair to call it?
Oh, that's not really. It's just it's a visual representation of an opening movie. Yeah, I just call it opening movie because. Okay.
When are we going to know more about it? Are we not going to really find out until the game is actually out?
That's the plan, really, is that we want people to be surprised when they play it and they throw the Blu-ray disc in the PS3 and load up for the first time. And go, wow, I've never seen this before, and it's going to be cool.
Interesting.
And we know we're on the right track, because people, every time we try to explain it to people, even people who are working on it, like, this is what we're planning, and I'm like, what?
And this came from whose brainchild is this?
Well, from Logan and from Hideo, who kind of bounced off ideas, and Logan came up with the initial concept, and then Hideo pretty much like ran with it with like all these crazy concepts, and so it's kind of blossomed to this really huge, massive project where we have, I think as we're recording this, I bet 30 people are working on it,
wow.
7 days a week. So in that sense, it's very cool, and it's massive, and it's probably going to be the first and last time you ever see anything like it, because nobody's going to be able to replicate it, because everyone will point to, oh, you're just copying MGS4.
Interesting.
So in that sense, it's pretty cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the mailbox here. Again, ran into a little technical difficulties of recording in the garden, or not the garden, more of the park.
Out here. Like we're sitting in a park in Tokyo at night, and it's a little cool out. There's cats all over the place. There's some sketchy looking people walking past. We had cops stop before. We have what do you think? High school, junior
Yeah,
high,
high school.
Couple on the bench about, I don't know, 20 feet from us. They're not even sitting up straight anymore, so I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, we had a lot of distractions throughout the podcast, but it wouldn't be Tokyo without it, I don't think.
Yeah, it wouldn't be this podcast without. I kind of like having the background noise, even though it might be kind of hard to hear at times. But I was thinking about wrapping up the show, unless you had anything that you wanted to bring up.
No, I have one question that I feel like if I didn't ask you, my peers would be angry at me. And so, what is the latest? And maybe you don't even have new news on this, but what is the latest on the demo situation? Because I've been hearing, I think a lot of people have been hearing, oh, there might be a demo, there may not be. I thought I've heard that there wasn't going to be a demo no matter what. We're talking about Metal Gear 4.
Right.
Then I thought I heard you say on a recent podcast that, you guys said, when the demo or if the demo comes or whatever. So, is it still up in the air?
As of right now.
What's the official word as of today, November 7th?
Right. As of November 7th, the official word is nothing's moving on the demo. Nobody's working at the team to perfect it to make sure that we can burn it on a disc or put it on the PlayStation Network, unfortunately.
But you wouldn't say, flat out, it's not happening.
Well, because I don't want to get, I don't want to get to the point where 3 months from now I'm saying, hey guys, demo's coming out.
Right.
And people say, hey, you're an idiot for saying that it wasn't coming. Because as of right now, there's absolutely no plans.
Right. So right now we're better off not getting our hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up.
Okay.
And if it does, it's going to be a pleasant surprise. But right now we're focusing on finishing the game. And believe it or not, putting together a demo would be a huge undertaking, even though we showed a demo at E4All and at TGS. But
I'm sure the game's always evolving.
It's still evolving. The version I'm playing right now is much different from at E4All, and we would feel inclined to incorporate that stuff into the demo. And we don't want this to feel like a beta. It has to be a demo, right?
Sure.
Like a piece out of the real retail game. So in that sense, we'd have to keep upgrading the section of the Middle East, which we're not really up to the task right now. We want to finish the retail game, and I think people can appreciate that as well. So.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I just, it's good to have a straight answer, because now maybe people will shut up about it, because everybody's asking about it every single day and changing tunes on it. So now we know. Don't expect a demo, and if it comes, it's like Christmas in, I don't know, February or whatever.
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on the show, John. It's always a pleasure.
Anytime.
And hope to get you on the show again sometime soon, man.